Of you have experienced anxiety or poor well-being or stress due to financial pressures? Let's have a show of hands, please. Let me see. How many of you experienced anxiety, poor well-being, or stress due to financial matters? I have. I have. Yeah. Well, how many of you concerned by your current or future financial situation? In fact, we'll be talking about other people as well. We'll be looking at a bit of data a bit later on, because if you are concerned, you are not alone. And also, how many of you have never experienced, and I'm talking never experienced any kind of financial distress? In fact, you don't know what other people are talking about. You haven't noticed that there seems to be a bit of a financial crisis going on at the moment, and you've got no idea why you joined this morning. And actually, you're thinking it's a bit of a mistake. You don't know why you've turned up this afternoon. Anybody? Anybody? I didn't think so. All right, okay, let's move on to some content. So my name is Duncan Risco, and I'm Chief of Creativity, Happiness and Innovation at International Wellbeing Insights. International Wellbeing Insights, we have been up and running for 20 years, would you believe? 20 years. I'll show the slide there because I've made it, so I might as well show it. We've been up and running since 2003. We are a wellbeing consultancy. I have projects working on every single continent of the planet because well-being is something that joins all of us as human beings. It doesn't matter where you're from, who you are, or what you do. We are all exposed to the same kind of pressures worldwide. Now, we are the research and consultancy arm of the Stress Management Society. The Stress Management Society is our non-profit. That's where we give back to those that have nothing. Well-being. There are lots of different elements to well-being. It could be physical well-being, emotional well-being, social well-being. There's about 23 different types of well-being, and financial well-being is one of them. Today we'll be looking at an introduction to financial well-being. My background is mental health, and I'm not a clinician, but I have a psychiatrist working for me. I have psychologists working for me, and also all the content that we show to you has also been through the Institute of Leadership and Management in the UK. So this isn't just me coming up with ideas in the office going, oh, let's try this. Everything that we present to you has been backed by data, whether it's data we've collected, whether it's third-party data or studies, or whether it's a leading high street bank. And the figures that we're presenting to you today have been adjusted to today's current financial market from a leading financial institution. I can't name them because I'm not allowed. So I'm going to very quickly go through some housekeeping for the session, and I will go through very quickly because the housekeeping is boring and nobody likes the housekeeping, but you've got to do it. So this is some of the clients that we work with, Philips, SMBC, etc. But I'm going to remind you what you've joined today. There is the link for all the resources at stress.org.uk, Agoda, and I would prefer cameras on, please. I'd like to see your nice smiley faces. This is not a lecture. It's an interactive workshop where I'm going to ask questions, and I need you to participate. I will ask questions straight away. I've asked you 3 questions. Please get involved on the mic or the chat section. This is not Duncan's session, it's everyone's sessions, and there will be opportunities to participate. We need to hear from you. So feel free to ask me questions, ask each other questions, share your experience. I would say don't believe a word I say until I prove it. You can disagree, and if you don't understand me, just ask me to explain it again. If you don't understand, I've done a bad job. So just ask me to do it again. Can you all put something in the chat section just to test your connection, please? It gives me a good idea of what I can do with you today if you post something in the chat. A little something like that. And while you're doing that, I'm going to set some ground rules. I'm going to ask you to be on time, and that includes coming back from the breakout rooms. We will do a breakout room immediately. I'm going to ask you why you're here is be here now, not be here sometimes. Concentrate on what we're doing for the next 90 minutes. And I'm going to ask you to limit distractions. If you can turn it off, turn it off. If you can't turn it off, make it quiet. But I am going to insist on participation. what you put into this session is what you get out of it. And in that case, I'm going to ask you to be honest as well. We can't make informed decisions unless we're being honest. So if people are being honest, let's just respect what they have to say. So I suppose I'm asking you to keep an open mind. That includes with the content that I present to you today. It might not fit your lifestyle 100%, but how can you modify it and change it to your circumstances? Now, I told you already I have an easy breezy, light-hearted style, but I don't kid around or joke about confidentiality. What is said in this session stays in this session. I understand that we've got recording going on, but I think in particular, I'm talking about the breakout rooms. I may say I a lot. Please don't think I'm talking about myself. It's a way that I protect people's privacy. And one last thing, which is an exception to confidentiality, and that's safeguarding. That I have a duty of care as your facilitator to make sure that you guys are safe and okay and happy. Now, I've been doing this a while, so I'm pretty discreet and pretty, uh, keep things private. But if anything comes up today that I think somebody needs to follow up, I will be the last person to leave this session, so hang around with me. But also, I will very discreetly contact that individual as well. In the back of the handbooks that we put together for you at stress.org.uk/Agoda, you also have the support resources that are available to you at Agoda. That's a live link that you can use on your own time. So you've been very good. Thank you, Venkat. I like the gift. Good lad. Well done. And you, Ton. Good, very good. So you've told me that the chat works. So there's no excuses there. I'm going to ask in a minute if the mics work in a minute, but let's get on to some content. So that's the end of the housekeeping. I did that quickly this morning or this afternoon, wherever you are. So Agoda, I'm a lot more interested in you, actually. I want to know a bit about you. So in the chat section, what I want you to do is, why have you turned up today? What have you joined this session for? So I suppose really is, what would you like to achieve out the next 90 minutes? What is your objective for turning up today? You can either turn up, you can either type that in the chat section, or you can come on the mic and just tell me. And I'm going to see if we can hit those objectives, because I can't in the next 90 minutes. I will put a skill on the website that I've made for you at stress.org.uk. So I'll just put that there, objective, in the chat section. What is your objective for this session? What do you want to get out? What do you need from me? Give my experience and the best practice of financial well-being. Okay, yeah, I like that. That's a good one. Financial discipline. Beg your pardon. Okay. Alrighty. They seem good enough. Keep going, and because I'm going to put you in a breakout room now. Because I'm going to tell you what we are and are not going to do today while you're doing that. So I have to position us as a business. Who are we? Well, first things first, that we are an independent and impartial organization. We make our own decisions. We're not employed by Agoda. We're not employed by anybody else. We're an independent company. So this is what we will not be covering today. Today, we will be not recommending specific financial products. If we do, it means we're not impartial. We will not be recommending specific investment opportunities. And we will not be making any instant millionaires. I'm sorry about that. There's no instant millionaires today. Not today. But what we will be covering is about your well-being. It's financial well-being. That's what we're focusing on today. And we're also going to look at our instinctive relationship with money, what we are brought up to believe money is, and also I suppose the reward systems that we have with money. But also we're going to look at a strategy for improving the impact that finances have on your well-being. That is our main focus today. I don't care about the money. First of all, I care about you and your well-being. So in order to do that, we are going to do an exercise. And I'm going to make up a breakout room. How many people we got here, Dar? 23, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38. Okay, 38. So 38 divided by 3. It's the first financial well-being, 12. All right, I'm going to make 13 rooms. I'm going to put you in breakout rooms now. And this is what we're going to do. Is first of all, what do you want? What do you want? So I'm going to take away time and money. There's no barrier now, because today, right now, today's your lucky day. Now, I want you to imagine that a money genie has suddenly appeared. You found an old bottle, and you're, what's this old bottle? And hold on, you've given it a bit of a rub. Boom, boom, and out comes this money genie. Hello, master. I have got one. I have been allowed to grant you one wish. This one wish is you have been granted 2 million baht. That's £50,000. About 50,000 euros, wherever you are. Do the conversion. So a money gene, and you are allowed to spend 2 million baht. Now, you've done nothing morally or legally wrong. It's yours. This rightfully belongs to you. You're not going to get in trouble. Nobody's going to come knocking for it. This is yours. This will never, ever, ever happen again. And you have complete and utter freedom of choice. So the exercise is, I'm going to put you in the breakout room, is what would you do with that 2 million bahts or the £50,000, whatever the equivalent means to you? What would you do with it and why? So I'm going to put the exercise in the chat section so we don't forget what we're doing. But I'm going to put you in a breakout room for a good 5 minutes now. And that is the exercise that £50,000, 2 million baht, ba-dung, there are no repercussions. You've done nothing wrong. It is yours, but you have to do something with it. What are you going to do with the 2 million baht and why? Okay, so discuss as a group. Don't be influenced by anybody else. You do you. And in a minute, I'll bring you back and you're going to tell me what you do with the money, because you have to do something with it. So the breakout rooms are opening now. This is going to be the longest 12 seconds of your life while we wait for them to kick in. And there'll be about 3 people in each room. So 2 million baht, you've got to spend it. What are you going to do with it? Oh, Poonam, you've come back.
Yeah, we have some connection issue, I guess.
See if I can call you into them. There we go. There you go. All right. Should be getting an invite. Okay, it's calling you in. No, no invite, no button.
Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but yeah,
Yeah.
there should be a button saying trying to take you into another room.
Join room, you mean?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to stop it. I want to pause. Can I pause recording? You have to stop the recording. You can't just pause it. Ugh, never mind. Hi, Miori. Hello. Hi, Miori. You're on
Hi,
mute.
hi,
Hi, yeah.
hi.
I'm just gonna put you into a breakout room if that's okay.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a task. It's your lucky day, by the way.
Okay.
Okay, so you have just been granted 2 million baht,
Mm-hmm.
and you can spend it however you like, but you have to
Yeah,
do something with it. You have to, and
yeah.
that's what the discussion is with the other groups. So, how
Okay.
would you spend this money and why?
Okay, got
But,
it.
50 grand or 2 million bahts, let's say bahts is a Thai business. 2 million
Mhm.
bahts, what would you do with the money and why? So you're going to be put into room 13. All right. Okay, we're coming back to the main room.
Yes, yes.
Okay, we're coming back to the main room, everybody. Just waiting for all of the rooms to close. Mind your language. Okay, just waiting for the rest of the rooms to close. It's taking a little time. I've got that spinning wheel of death. Go on. Right, so I'm really looking forward to this. So you have one wish. You have 2 million baht. There we go, just mute everyone. You have 2 million baht. This will never ever happen again, ever, ever. But you can spend it however you like. So talk to me, Agoda. What would you spend the money on and why? Who's going to tell me?
I can start. So our group has a common theme of investment, and like diversifying the investment also according to different risk level. So all of us want to do down payments on a property, and then depending on how risk averse we are, the other investment options varies from person to person, from like stock market to crypto to gold and silvers to um, starting a new business or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so property or some kind of investment, which is hardly ever spoken about in these sessions, ever. Ever. Isn't ever. Thank you. Investment. Okay. Thank you, Ping, for starting off and breaking the seal. Let's hear some people's wishes. It's only going to be one time. Why would you spend that money in that way? Tell me, what would you spend it on? Come on, Agoda, otherwise I'll start calling
Apart
names
from
out.
the usual, like saving a certain percentage for travel, certain percentage for family, and so on, we had one good idea is to invest into farming.
Farming.
Yeah.
Unless Bill Gates has bought up all the seeds and then you have to go buy everything from him. He's cornering the market. He really is. Property, investment, travel, family, farming. I've never heard farming before. Congratulations. That's a new one on me. Brilliant. What else? What would you spend the money? It's just pretend. Travel 30%, needs 20%, invest 50%. We've even got percentages down there. What else? What would you spend the money on? It's just pretend. Nobody's judging.
Yeah. So for me, if I have debts, I'll pay it on my debts. But if I don't, then maybe a little bit gambling or
Yeah, gambling. You didn't have it. It's one time. Yeah, okay. It's your money. You can do what you like with it. So debts and gambling. Good. Good. What else? What would you do with the money? It's absolutely fine. There's no judgment here. You can do what you want to do with that money. It doesn't matter.
Probably
Hey, hi.
donation. Oh, sorry.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
I would go for donation, I guess.
Donation. What would you donate to? Something important to you?
Probably for like homeless
Mm.
stuff that, daily food, daily meals and, stuff they need.
Okay. So you would go for philanthropy. That's certainly something. Again, I've never. So this is a good group. So far, nobody ever says investment, ever. They don't. So Ping's group is good there. Farming, I've never heard that. That's brilliant. In fact, I think we're all going to the farming business here. That's what it says there. So let's all go into the farming business, but also donation, giving back. But I have got the usual ones here as well. That family, travel, needs, whatever that means, debts. That's usually, in fact, real estate for renting. In fact, God, blimey, Jim Rong's gone very long-term investment, stock market, crypto. Braver than me with crypto, retirement pension, very good. So the reason we ask this is it gives you an idea of what you would do and what's important to you. And there's some actually quite mature answers there. What we normally get, and we have got a few there, is that people want to share the money with friends and family, or they want to cancel debt. But once you cancel the debt, you're just back to usual, aren't you? It might take off some of that emotional damage, I suppose, or stress that debt does occur. But this is where we're starting to look at our relationship with money and finances. There's an awful lot of emotion and a bit of fear wrapped up in money and finances. So I want to start looking at this. I want to start looking at our relationship with finances and our relationship with money. And this is about well-being. This group is about financial well-being. So let's make sure that we're talking about the same thing. What does well-being mean to you? And don't say being well, because I've heard that answer about 100 million times. But what does well-being mean to you? It's not just a hashtag on Instagram or TikTok. To you right now, that word well-being, what does it mean?
Can I say something?
Mm.
Okay, so for me, it's, for example, to be able to cover all expenses for 1 year without having to think about without having any anxiety or stress.
Okay, so taking some of that pressure,
Yeah,
bit of space.
yeah, like
Stop
for
the
1 year.
yeah.
To be able to cover finances for 1 year without having any kind of an anxiety and stress.
Okay, so take away anxiety and stress. Tan, if I'm saying your name correctly, has said able to sleep peacefully. So there we go. There's something there that well-being means a bit of peace, but also that's a very basic need, needing to sleep. How many of you have had sleepless nights over finances? Definitely. I can remember my student loan being quite a cause of upset to me. Stability. What else does well-being mean to you? You in this room right now, what does it mean? There's no wrong answer. Being healthy. Uh-huh.
Peace of mind.
Really. Peace of mind. Okay. Yeah.
Not being stressed about what to do, like month by month. So, like you're not living month by month payment, paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah. Yeah, this is starting to become a bit more of a conversation, actually. Is it Angida?
Yeah.
Yeah. That this is becoming, particularly the last 12 months, people talking about living paycheck to paycheck. And I'm starting to hear the words hand to mouth. I mean, in Britain, I would talk about Britain, I can never remember food banks. A food bank is where people donate food to people that cannot afford it. But we're now getting people who have jobs that are going to food banks. That had never happened in my lifetime. So well-being, thank you, Angida, is Ping has said well-being is about being good, solid, healthy, comfortable, peace of mind, financial freedom. So again, that space in your head. These are all good. I usually get the word balance up there as well, which is essentially, to me, well-being is about quality of life. It's about being comfortable. It's about being healthy, and it's about being happy as much as you possibly can. Now, can you be comfortable, healthy, and happy all the time? No, of course you can't. Not all the time. In fact, I dare say you get quite bored of it, actually. But it's about quality of life. What is it serving you? Are you getting value out of it? Are you connected to other people too? Quality of life is not just about things, it's about people and places and choices. And when I talked about well-being, there are loads of different types of well-being, and these are just some of them. And they're very, very much connected. Health, and I'm really glad that you said about health in the chat section there. And we're not just talking physical, but also mental and emotional health. I've definitely suffered from physical, mental, or emotional ill health at some point in my life, as you have as well. Social well-being is about relationships, whether that's personal, professional, even romantic, and also spiritual. And it might not mean religion to you, but it might be belonging or contemplation. Now, growth is important as humans. If you're not growing, you're staying still. And if you're standing still, well, the world moves on without you, and that means you're going backwards. So we need something to aim for. It's also about purpose, our raison d'etre, and this is our identity. But clearly, financial well-being is clearly a part of that too. And this could be about choices. When we feel like we don't have choices, we start to feel hopeless. And we feel hopeless, we start to have poor well-being outcomes. So this is like a train. I want you to imagine a train, and each one of these elements of well-being is like a carriage in the train. And they represent a different aspect of our health, our well-being, and even our happiness. And they're all very, very much linked. Now, some might not be important to you in any way whatsoever, but there's at least 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 that are very important to you, and they're very, very linked. Let's imagine that the carriages are linked and then affected to each other. So let's say an element of your health isn't great. Let's say your mental health isn't very good. You're not thinking clearly. You're not quite yourself. You're not feeling right. And this could affect your social well-being because perhaps you're starting to isolate yourself and withdraw. This could then start affecting your spiritual well-being. And it doesn't necessarily happen in this order. It happens in a different order to all of us, but our spiritual well-being might be affected because we're feeling a little isolated. Because we're isolated and we're away from our friends, family, and we're feeling a bit ill, we're not growing anymore, and perhaps we're losing sight of our purpose. But it could also mean that we are missing opportunity as well. And our job is to ensure that these carriages are as aligned as they can possibly get. Because if one or two start to kind of wobble and sway and start to derail, it can affect the others, and it can cause what we call a domino derail, where if one or two start to come off the rails, it does affect everything else. So it's incredibly important that we are looking after our own quality of life. So I'm going to start looking at our relationship with money right now. So how many of you agree that spending money can give you a bit of a lift, a bit of a rush? Does it feel good to spend money, to buy things? Who's going to tell me about that? I'm sick of talking for the minute. Is that who? Tell me something that you've had your eye on that thing, and you've been, should I? I'll go on. I'll just do it, and then you've decided to buy that thing. What does that feel like? Think about the process of even spotting it. What does it feel like? You go, oh, I've never seen one of those before. That's the one I want. Tell me about that process. Instant gratification. Get on the mic. Tell me what it's like.
Well, it just feel like at least there's one thing we can control, like which is our money.
So it feels a sense of control that I worked for this.
Yes.
I work for this. I earned it. I'm going to spend it how I want.
Yeah, like I deserve it after long hours of work.
I deserve it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Why not? That's the reward. That's the reward of working hard. So you get this thing back, and is it as good as you thought it was going to be? Does it give you the pleasure?
Yeah, but then maybe after that, like few hours or few months, feel like regret it a little bit. Like, why did I buy that? I don't actually use it, or like I didn't want it as much as I thought. But
Yeah.
at that moment, it's just feel like a little getaway from the reality that like everything else just so overwhelming, but at least just that little happiness kind of lift up the day.
So yeah, thank you, Lexika. I'm just looking at the chat as well. We've got instant gratification. Also, Jinrong. I think that's Jinrong. If I miss it, I will regret it. I can make the saving from other things. Okay, so it's thinking about moving our money. Actually thinking about, well, what can I cut back on in order to attain this thing that I've coveted through the shop window or online. A sense of ownership is rewarding. Okay. How many of you got an iPod that's sitting? sitting on the shelf, or an iCamera. Do you remember them? Oh my God, I wanted that iCamera. Used it 4 times, and then the iPhone came out. You didn't need it anymore. Definitely, this is our relationship with money, and Lexica, and also the chat is also suggesting is that it is that instant gratification. And what this is doing to you is it's a dopamine release. That's what's happening in the brain. It's a reward release. Oh, that's really good. It's like if somebody likes your social media post, ping, that ping is pleasing to your ear. Somebody has liked something about you and it's a dopamine release. But with any kind of rush, there is a crash. And the same is true with money. Now, our relationship with finances has very much been that it has a psychological impact on us and our well-being. You're talking to me about reward. I worked hard, I deserve this. And that could be to do with our upbringing, but it's certainly the society that we all live in now. And we do have an attachment to consuming and the dopamine rush it brings. And we are often, but it also gives us a crash. And we are often buying things we don't really want, or buying things we don't really need with money we don't really have to impress people we don't really know. And it is passing. And this sounds weird coming from somebody from the West or the UK that I'm talking, they're just things. That's all it is. I don't care about things. I don't care about money. I care about you and your well-being. And that's what the focus of this session is going to be, is about well-being. Is that what is our connection to money? You've had a birthday. Let's say you're 6, 7 years old. What do you get for your birthday? How many of you receive money in a card or a present from family or friends? I did. Did you? Maybe there's been Himanshi didn't get any money. It's all right, mate. Next time I see you, Himanshi, I'll give you a birthday card with £1 in it. That's if I see you. How many of you? I don't know in your where you live. When you lose teeth as a child, did you put it under the pillow? Was there a tooth fairy? You didn't have a tooth fairy. There's a tooth fairy, and yeah, you put your baby teeth under your pillow when you lose them. When you wake up, there's a £1 coin underneath. Well, it's gone up now. My kids want £5. I caught them in the garden trying to pull their teeth out with pliers. Anyway, it's £5 a tooth, wouldn't you? No fairy, just disgust, right? How many of you had an uncle or a dad or a mum or a family member or a friend that used to go, "What's that behind your ear?" And out came a coin. Oh my God. Cut my ear off and shake it out. You didn't get any money from your fallen teeth. Cash them in now there, Ping. But our relationship with money is very much a reward. It's magic. Gifts come from nowhere. Money comes out from behind your ear. If there's a birthday, perhaps you have money in the card. If you go through some kind of religious ceremony, there are gifts attached to that. And there is a reward here. If you do jobs around the house, perhaps you are rewarded. Work hard, get money, spend things. Repeat the cycle. And we often lose sight about the real things that matter. And nobody on their deathbed ever said, "I wish I had the new iPod." They said, "I wish I had my health. I wish I had time with my family. I wish I could do it all over again. I wish I didn't work as much." That's the things we need to focus on. So I'm going to start prioritizing your well-being now. Well-being is the most important thing. Your health is the most important thing. And I'm going to show you how the world has changed now, because the world has changed. We did a session very much like this a year ago for you guys, and the world was a completely different place. A year before that, it was even different. And the year before that, it was completely different. We hadn't even heard of COVID 3 years ago. So one of my jobs is to gather data. And I gather data all around the world. So I want you to tell me, because it's really important to me, what have been your main sources of stress over the last 12 months? In fact, just say 2022. What have been your main sources of stress over the last 12 months? You can put it in the chat, but I'd actually prefer to hear it. What have been your main sources of stress over the last year? Rising costs of inflation, SNAP, debts, job security, yeah, layoff, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Health, okay. Illness, okay. I hope you're okay now, Nessaborn. I hope you're okay. So while you're doing that, I'm going to show you some data. So we asked the world actually, and when we a year ago when we did the session for you, or a session very much like it, bit different. The main sources of stress, and this was worldwide, by the way, not just the UK, this was worldwide, that the top causes of stress were demands, that people felt they had too much to do. They also felt there was a lack of support, that because we're all so busy, we didn't have the time to support each other. And they were certainly feeling like there had been an awful lot of change and they're feeling a little out of control. That was 12 months ago. There's also still COVID around. And also, I know, particularly in China's on a big lockdown now. It's very, very real for them right now in China with COVID. But that was 12 months ago. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't think those are the stresses now. And it says in the chat here as well, that those aren't the stresses now. There was no conflict in the Ukraine 12 months ago. There is a reason that the Collins Dictionary have voted the word of 2022 as permacrisis. Permacrisis means an extended period of instability or insecurity. And my sessions with people all around the world, whatever the session I put on, and also the data that I gather, has absolutely reflected that people are taking in a lot of instability and insecurity, and it's making them worry. So yeah, he put that around parents getting older. Yeah, I'm with you there actually. I'm certainly experiencing that now. So this was the top 4 causes of stress in 2021 were demands, lack of support, changing control, and COVID. And the world has changed. We are in a different world now. So we asked, these have been the main sources of stress over the last 12 months, and this is 2022. And it's particularly fearing for the future. Remember that perma crisis. We don't know what's coming next. There doesn't seem to be any kind of time where, can we just go back to normal? That money worries and cost of living. We were not talking about this 12 months ago, but inflation, particularly in the UK, is not great at the moment. Also, people starting to think about job security. But number 4 is uncertainty if things will ever get back to, in quotation marks, normal. It seems like an ever increasing period of change where things just do not seem to have stopped changing, and there's the accelerated change. Now, these changes and that perma crisis, this has an effect on us as humans, and we start to panic, and we start to feel anxious, feel stressed, and that makes us change our priorities. We often react to the loudest or the scariest thing, and we become less strategic. So I want to start dialing this back now and start becoming a little more strategic, particularly with our finances and also prioritizing the well-being. The well-being is the most important thing. So let's start looking at us. So I'm going to put a link in the chat section. There's the link, stress.org.uk CFDB. There we go. Right, and this is a survey. Now, this survey is going to give you a score based on your location and your age, and it's going to ask you some questions about your finances. It's private. I don't record anyone's identity, but what it does is starting to ask you about areas of your life, and I can't remember the lady's name who was talking about living hand to mouth or living paycheck to paycheck. And there's a few questions in there, and there's one in particular that I thought, yeah. Now, this will give you a percentage. Clearly, 100% means that you're a billionaire and you've got no financial pressures whatsoever. But I did this last week, and my score had decreased by 20% in the last year. So it's just going to give you an idea of your financial well-being right now. Beg your pardon. So I'm going to share my screen. I'll do it with you. And the answers that I give, they're not my answers. It's just so. My age, I am 44. I'm a male, and I live in the United Kingdom. I could handle a major unexpected expense. Depends what it is. I'm securing my financial future somewhat because my money situation, I feel like I'll never have the things I want in life. Very little. I can enjoy life because the way I'm managing my money. I don't enjoy life because the way I'm managing my money, but I have to answer the question. Yeah, okay. I'm just getting by financially. That depends on the month, and that also depends on unexpected things that happen. So I can say somewhat. I can say that the money I have or save won't last. Well, yeah, of course. This is the one for me. Giving a gift for a wedding, birthday, or other occasion would or could put a strain on my finances for the month. Yeah, it could. I have money left over at the end of the month. Yep. I'm behind with my finances. I don't really know what that means, so I'm going to say sometimes. My finances control my life. Yeah, often. Yeah, I've got 4 kids. Of course they do. Submit. 49%, according to the Financial Wellbeing Score for the Consumer Finance.gov, CFPP. I've got a financial wellbeing score of 49%. So I don't think the score is particularly important. The score is not particularly important for me. It's the questions that it asks. Sorry, I'm going to go on mute because I need to cough. I beg your pardon. Sorry, winter time in the UK. We've got seasonal colds. So I will not ask you to share your score. I think that's private, actually. It's up to you. But what I will ask you is some of the questions that it asked. Did some of those questions resonate with you? Think about the unexpected gift, for instance. Is that something that would make a change for you? And the questions actually have been, there we go. I can handle a major unexpected expense. I'm securing my financial future. Any of those questions, do any of those resonate with you? And thinking about our relationship with money, where we spend, we consume, and then we start again. Any of those questions resonate with you? Over to you. That's an open question for the group. Good.
The security about financial future, that's something that keeps me up because, yeah, I'm making money. I'm putting away some money every month. I have a kid. I don't know if I'm saving enough, and it's just like, are my investment decisions right, and or am I investing enough? All of that. So I got a very low score on that.
Are you investing something?
It's just very safe products like mutual funds and stuff, not something that I feel like I have enough.
But you're investing something.
Something, yeah.
That's better than nothing. There's many people that are not. People in their 50s and 60s, particularly in the UK, that think, well, I'll get round to it someday, and it's just not happening. It's just not happening. It really isn't. Thank you. Is it Suriname? Yeah, Siram. Thank you. Sorry, I've got to get some water, I think. But to ask Mrs. Risco. What about other people? Some of the questions. That one for me was the unexpected expense and also the birthday present, or the unexpected gift. Let's say your oldest friend from school gets married, and however, you need 4 new tires on your car in the same month, and you've got to go to the wedding as well, and you've got to show yourself and also save face as well, that you've got to present some kind of present. Would that hit your finances? Would you seriously think about your standard of living over the next couple of months because you need 4 new tires on your car, and unless all the police are going to start asking questions, but also your best friend is getting married and you need to turn up and get clothes and travel and give a present? Would that hit your finances? Is that something that you could handle just like that? And there's the parties. Always parties with weddings. It's about 5, isn't there? So what I want to move on to for the last part is actually a strategy. Is that score? I'm not really particularly interested in the score. It's the questions that I want to start looking at. And what we tend to do is we tend to prioritize things and debts and things that are quite scary. And when our finances are suffering, it affects our mental health. It does. I mean, I looked at your answers. It affects mental health, of course. It affects our sleep. There's our physical health, our emotional health. Our relationships become strained. Sometimes we don't tell people that we've got money troubles, and it also affects the way in which we see the world as well. It reduces our choices. I can't do that because I can't afford it. If I do that, it will do this. And it can affect all of our carriages. It certainly can. So financial well-being, what does that mean to you? Well, you've already told me, because you've given me some really good answers today, that financial well-being is about security. I think that's peace of mind as well. It's also about having some kind of freedom of choice in the present and the future. So I want to start looking at a structure, and I want to start looking at this. And I want to tell you, before we do this, I want to tell you about a study we did. Now, we did a study with a bank, and it was an online bank. And the study that they wanted us to do, we had to do this study in 2 months. And in 2 months, we had to get, was it 20 people? Had to get 20 people in this study. There had to be a range of ages, sexes, and also incomes as well. And the bank, they did this big promotional campaign. They wanted to launch a new product, and they wanted our study to prove one of their theories. And their theory was this: the closer that you get to payday, the more anxious and stressed you feel. Which I thought was all right. So how many of you feel like you run out of money before you run out of month? Thank you. You sometimes feel that? Do you run out of money before you run out of month? You sharing? I'm not sharing a screen, not yet, Venkat. I'm just talking. Do you run out of money before you run out of month? What does that last week of the month look like for you? Depending on the months. Yeah, Ping. No. All right, not always. The theory was, and there's one of the shares on screen on mic earlier, was that living month to month, and particularly what does that 4th week of the month look like? The longest week of the month. Yeah, it is that 4th week. Now, the theory was that people become more stressed in that last week, and therefore it affects their well-being, it affects their decision making, and it affects their quality of life and the choices and what they do with it. It also affects their relationships. So what we did, we measured a couple of things. We measured their physical well-being. We had a device connected to their ear that measured their heart rate variability, and we did a measure for them, and this is over 2 months. We also asked them some standardized questions, and we got them to open up their bank account, look at the figures, and we started to ask some questions about it. So we started to see what we thought was normal data, and then we got into the second month, and the data started showing us things that it was not helping. It was not helping our cause. We were supposed to deliver a study that said people are more stressed the closer they get to payday. What we had done, we had messed up the study. We didn't know we had, but we had. By making people, what we'd done is that we had done a kind of like a exposure therapy with people by accident, and we had gone through like a process of mindfulness. What we had done is that by looking at the money, asking questions, and over a 2-month period, they started to take some of the emotion out of their relationship with money, and they started to make better choices. Is that they saw it as facts and figures and numbers, and they started to be a bit more strategic. So we had completely and utterly messed up this study. We had influenced the study without actually knowing it, and the bank were very cross with us. But the secondary benefit was that by having that strategic approach to money, is that they started to feel less stressed, less panicked, and they started to make better choices. They also started to see on that 4th week that they started to have a bit more money in the bank, but they were having a better time along the way. So on that second month, they had started to move things around and start prioritizing the way they felt instead of what they wanted. And we made this out of that study. And this is the money wheel. If you go to stress.org.uk, there is a spreadsheet that you can use to budget your finances. And we saw 6 clear areas. The first one was living. What does it cost to keep a roof over your head? Now, when I did this session in the Emirates, I was really surprised at the high cost of living, and there wasn't a lot left over. The second part was about leisure. Are you budgeting not only money, but also time? If you haven't got the money, you can certainly budget the time for leisure. When I do interventions with people one-to-one, that is something that absolutely they're not doing. They're not having fun anymore. We also looked at learning, that's professional and personal development. And we also looked at what if, that unexpected expense, that surprise that we weren't expecting. It's also about financial freedom. Is there any part of your finances that are earning money? It doesn't matter how small it is, but is there something that you're doing with your own finances that is making you money while you sleep? And also about contribution. And I think that was a really nice ad earlier on when I asked about the money genie. Somebody said they would donate it. And that was certainly something that we saw in that study, that there has to be an element of contribution or philanthropy or giving back. And if that's not money, it's time. So on page, I think it's 7, I'm going to put a breakout room exercise now, which is, let's imagine it is you are on that 2nd month of that study now. And we've done that kind of exposure therapy where we completely and utterly ruined the study and nearly got in trouble quite badly by the client. They were not pleased. But on page 7 of the handbook, we have the money wheel. And the money wheel, it will look at these elements of well-being, these elements. And the task is, what percentage of your time and money could or should you be spending on this money wheel? And the first one is living, keeping a roof above your head. These are your living standards. And by the way, we've had to change the percentages because the cost of living increases. We've had to change it. Also leisure, this is the hobbies, interests and socializing, the things that give you a reward. What percentage could or should you be spending on personal and professional development? What percentage could you be saving for larger items, the just in case? What about financial freedom? What percentage of money that makes you money? And finally, contribution, giving to causes that you believe in. It's on page 7. So I'm going to put you to breakout rooms again. How many did we have last time, Dar? Was it 13? I think it was 13, was it? There we go. Come on. There we are. So creating a room. So this is what I want you to look at. Imagine your pay. And if you don't have the money, you can still spend the time. It's the percentages. Can you show the categories again? Yeah, page 7, Ping. Just go to page 7. There we go. I'm going to put you in a breakout room now anyway. Page 7, that's what it looks like. There you go. Living, keeping a roof above your head. Yada, yada, yada. I'll put it in the chat section as well. But I'm going to put you in breakout rooms now. In your group, and there's no wrong answers, is what percentage will you put to each one of these? And it's not an equal split, by the way. It's not. You know, you can't say 5% of your living expenses, otherwise they'll throw you out of your house. You won't be able to afford it. So what would you do? How would you do it? So wait for the room. To wake up. There we go. So I'll put the instructions in the chat so you know exactly what you're doing and I haven't confused you. It's really what percentages do you assign to each one of the money wheel sections. All right. So I'm going to give you 10 minutes to do this. I want you to discuss. I want you to argue with each other. I want you to try and prove each other wrong. Ideally, with your well-being in mind, that's your priority. How much of the percentages would you spend in each one of the 6 sections? Page 7. Come on, teams. There you go.
Somehow I got dropped off the meeting. Not sure why.
Let's try and find you a room. Sharma. Sharma. Right. Can you remember which room you were in or not at all?
Put me in any room. It's just a normal discussion. Or I can discuss with you as well if not finding a room. That would be beneficial. Hey, before you, okay, it's the recorded session, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's no
Okay.
rule of thumb, right?
You
As in
should
what?
have a button now saying join the room.
Join room. Yes, I can see that button.
There you go. Click.
Okay. Before I leave, can I ask you a question? Or should I leave?
I'll remind you of being recorded, Himanshu. Do you want to leave it to the end?
Okay. After, in the end, it won't be recorded.
Yeah, it won't. I'll turn it off. Right, I'm going to bring people back. It's buzzing me. Okay, we can come back to the main room. Okay. Okay, we've got people come back to the main room. Not everyone's back yet, so mind your language, everybody. Don't really have to worry about Agoda. Agoda have got good manners. Excellent manners.
Can see your screen.
Right, can you show the categories again? I did that already. Right, my people, Agoda. The task was that we have the well-being wheel. This is an outcome from a study that we did, and is about apportioning certain percentages of our income. And if we don't have the money, that we can certainly spend the time. Sriram, I'm not sharing anything yet, mate. I will be in a minute. I'll tell you when I am. So I'm sharing in 3 seconds. There you go. So the money wheel is about developing that strategy, and it's about what percentage of your income should ideally be spent on each of the areas and why. And remember that we live in the real world, that the world has changed. I made that point to you. In the last 12 months, it's a completely different set of stresses and strains. Inflation has gone crazy. The cost of living, we've got energy crises, we've got the cost of fuel, we've got the cost of gas, we've got the cost of everything really. Supply chain issues, we're having to wait a lot longer for things. Things are not available. So this is about developing a strategy to prioritize your well-being. So the money wheel is about for the first section is about keeping a roof above your head. So what percentage of your income could ideally be spent on those living expenditures? What have you got and why? What is the percentage for living? I'll stop sharing. What percentage should you give and why?
I said 30%.
30, okay. Higher or lower than 30? Ali said 30. What do we think, people? Why? Why did you say 30, Ali?
Because yeah, still have like needs for other things.
I think it also depends on what a living expense is. That has also changed. Certainly has changed. Those of you that work from home, if you do work from home, the internet is a living expense now. You need to be connected. That is an absolute living expense. So Ali said 30. You can put your answers. So in fact, I'm going to put living. Put your percentages in the chat section, please, if you don't want to get on the mic. Thanks for getting on the mic, Ali. What is your percentage? 40? 50? Okay. So the percentage I'm going to give you are up to 60. Yeah, I think.
These numbers are supposed to be like the ideal number or the actual number.
54.2. Well done, Julia. Julia, okay, so this is up to, depending on your location, we've got different locations here, and this is eye-watering for some of you, is that ideally is 70%, up to 70% of your living expenditure. In Britain right now, that is absolutely the case, is 70%. When I did this in the Emirates, it was higher than 70%. Higher. It used to be 55%. But the leading bank told us now that that is realistically what people are facing over the next 2023 and 2024, is that 70% of their income is going to be just keeping a roof above their head. That's rent, mortgage, insurances, energy, food, perhaps education, if you have to pay for education for your children, travel expenses, etc., etc. They are all piling up. Broadband is one, internet. What do you think of that? 70%. Is that that's shocked you? That's the highest here. Ideally 40, reality 88. Alvina, yeah, reality is 88. Okay. Wow. 88. Back to the future, isn't it? So these are your basic, if we think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, these are your basic bottom two tiers here, which is the physiological. This is you keeping air and water and food and warm and somewhere to sleep. Also security, that you are able to have somewhere safe. And unless those are looked after, safety and physiological needs, that we have no way of getting to love and belonging, esteem, self-actualization. These are the luxuries now, the top part. So the living expenses, as you can see in the pyramid here, are really at least 50%. Because once we got those all right, we can then start looking at the others. What about hobbies, interests, and socializing? What percentage did you put for hobbies? I will rent forever then. Jinrong, not sure about that. I think a reset's coming with property, to be quite honest. I can see it coming. For fun, hobbies, leisure, what percentage?
10.
All expenses. 10. I like 10. 0. Poonam said none. 10. Yeah, around that. Now, when I do interventions with people, I ask them 3 questions. How's work? What have you learned recently? And what are you doing for fun? They will tell me everything about work. Oh, another thing. And Sheila in account, she's horrible. And this, and they will tell me all their, and they will go on and on about work. And then I say, well, what are you learning recently? You can't say anything at work. What are you using to grow? No answer. What are you doing to have fun? No answer. And it is absolutely important. It is a fundamental human right. Children, according to the UN, have a fundamental human right to play. They have the human right for access to play. Now, just because we turn 18 or 21 or whatever makes you an adult where you are, why do we think that we don't have a fundamental right to have fun and leisure? You have to protect that. You have to protect that, because you will go insane. Hobbies and interests. Now we've had to adjust this 7%, but that's the bare minimum. Should be 7% on hobbies, interests, and socializing. The bare minimum is that. With learning, it should be around 5% of your money or your time should be spent on professional or personal development. 5% minimum. Savings for larger items just in case. What percentage of your income should be designated to longer term, larger spends? Now, these are the things that we didn't plan for. And it could be a wedding expense. It could be that your daughter has tripped over and smashed her teeth and needs dental work. We did not budget for that. It could be you come home and you find out that both of your sons have spent £750 and £900 on skins use it for FIFA 21, and it is recorded, and other things, online devices. It was £1,650 on FIFA expenses, the what ifs. I didn't have to pay in the end. I argued it out. But who is going to tell me? Have you had an unexpected expense where you went, "Oh, this is going to cause a problem"? Who wants to tell me about an unexpected expense? The what if, the rainy day. Have you had an unexpected expense that has put a dent in your money?
Yeah, I can share. Like, for example, if your house needs a fix, right? Let's say during the rainy season, or yeah, that it's quite big, like in terms of the amount, or like if your car needs a fix, all of a sudden break down or you get into an accident, that's also, yeah, gonna put a dent for sure into my monthly expenses.
Absolutely. If the roof comes in and we're not insured for it, well, I only fixed that roof 10 years ago. It needs fixing again. But this is one of the key things that puts people into debt. I don't have the money now. If I've got a credit facility, I will borrow the money, and then that adds more strain. A good share there actually about houses. Houses, they do cost money, don't they? They say they're an asset, are they? But at least 5% of our income squirreling away and saving it month by month for that just in case, for those unexpected. Now, what about money that makes you money? This is financial freedom. This is money that you're putting away into some kind of investment that's earning you money. What did you say for that? -10. Oof. 5. All right. Now, we're not all investors. 0. Oh dear. We're not all investors and we don't all have access to a stockbroker, but there are apps out there that can help you. And I'm not talking about, I'm actually talking about me personally, nothing to do with the company at all. There are apps out there called Roundup apps. Have you seen these? That when you spend money, it asks you, say you go to a coffee shop and you spend I don't know, you spend $3.50 on a coffee. The app will say, well, you have 50p to round up. Do you want to save it or do you want to do nothing with it? And what you can do, you can put it into like an investment thing. There are apps out there. I don't know where they are in your region, but I found that really, really helpful. I don't carry money around with me. It's all with like, Google Pay or a card. But just saying, do you want to round that money up and put it into something? I've actually saved quite a bit of money. Now, that app puts it into a pension or it puts it into an investment portfolio or stocks and shares, and it does it for me. And that is certainly something that's helped me. Before that, I wasn't really investing that much in stuff, but that was actually a suggestion from one of your colleagues last time and a couple of other people from other things. So Roundup apps, I'm actually going to put in the chat for you to check out. Roundup app. So ideally, what could we be spending? It is 10%. 10% of your money needs or could be putting into stuff that's earning you stuff while you're not. It's another form of income, and this does not mean a pension. I think pension is I think that's actually a living expense rather than money that makes you money, financial freedom. And last of all is contribution. What percentage of your income or your time could be attributed to donating to a cause, giving something back? That's one of the shares very early on in this session, which I was very impressed with. What is the percentage there? We said at least 3%. Those on that do Ramadan as well, that's actually part of the thing that they do during Ramadan, but it's 3%. So we've got 70, 7, 5, 5, 10, 3, and those figures have been adjusted to the current cost of living pressures. We've had to readjust those. One thing that we didn't adjust was financial freedom. Absolutely, we did not. But we have had to adjust the rest of the figures because of the current financial state. So the support resources are available to you. These are in that handbook. I can't remember what page it is. The page number is, I've put them on page 9 of the handbook. There is a live link there for that. If you click on there, it takes you to some website. I'm not allowed to see it because I don't work for Agoda. But the thing I do want you to look at in particular is if you go to stress.org.uk Agoda, I want you to look at the spreadsheet that we made that will help you start making a plan. There we go. So, I can't see now. There we go. So, if you go here, you've got the handbook, right? You've already seen that. However, if you scroll down, there is a money wheel spreadsheet. So what we've done there, if you click on that, you'll download the money wheel. And you will be able to see and make a plan to start prioritizing your well-being. That's the most important part. What we've done is we've made it so you can put in the cost of living stuff. So up here, you've got your income, your monthly income, whatever that is. It's in pounds, but don't worry about the thing. Just doesn't matter what currency. And you can start seeing, well, how much am I spending on living expenses? What is even a living expense? Leisure, what am I spending on leisure? And it will give you the percentage according to that money wheel. That's what I want you to start doing on your way out. So we started 5 minutes early, so I'm going to bring this session to an end. It's a 90-minute session today, and I've actually, I think you've been really smart today, actually. I think there's been some really good shares and really good points of view. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the chat the support resources that are available to you. That's a live link in the chat there, and that's put on by the company. That is for you. But also, I'm going to put the session to an end now, because that's the end of my time with you, of which I've enjoyed it. I like getting a different view from a different part of the world, because otherwise I'm just in an echo chamber. So, Agoda, if that's your real name. I'm going to end today's session, and I will be the last person to leave this session. There is a feedback form for you to fill out there at participant feedback, blah, 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 blah. But it's right there. There's a link there. Please give me your honest feedback so we can improve our sessions for you next time. But apart from that, I've got one last thing to ask you, which is, what do you need to ask me before I end today's session? What do you need to ask me before we end today's session? If you don't want to ask in front of other people, I will be the last person. In fact, I'm just going to stop the recording as well. Recording has stopped.